Hey guys, Chad here from Take It or Leave It, here with a movie review for you for the film Weapons. Here's the synopsis. When all but one child from the same class mysteriously vanish on the same night at exactly the same time, a community is left questioning who or what is behind their disappearance. Alright guys, and with all that down, let's get into the pros and the cons, starting with the pros. Well, first things first, you probably know already, but this is directed by Zach Cregger, the guy who directed Barbarian. So it kind of goes without saying that if you liked Barbarian, you should definitely go check out Weapons. But if you didn't like Barbarian, I still might recommend that you check out Weapons, because from what I know, a lot of people didn't like the way that the film jumped to different characters very, very abruptly. It just felt like the writers were jerking the wheel, and there was this whiplash effect. And while that narrative approach and structure is used in Weapons, I think it is used far more effectively, and it's much smoother and makes a lot more sense for Weapons the way that it unfolds. And that's just a long-winded way of me saying that I think that the character-based chapters was such a great approach to this film. One reason that I thought this was so effective is that this approach allows you to do some really efficient character development and world building by going through the same events but from different characters' perspectives, and then introducing some new stuff at the end of the chapter that feeds into the next character's chapter. And while efficient storytelling is a benefit to this approach, the second reason for going this route is actually far more important than that. And what I'm alluding to is that this film is at its best when it keeps its audience guessing and at the edge of its seat. And this character-based chapter structure really lends itself to that. Because think about it, at the end of every chapter, there's essentially the opportunity for a cliffhanger. And for at least half of the movie, the filmmakers do take advantage of this dynamic and this benefit. I just wish that this dynamic existed throughout the second half of the film. More on that later. Let's move on to the second pro, and I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Let's just have a heart-to-heart. Let's come clean on this. After seeing this movie, none of us sleep on our back anymore, right? We're all sleeping on our sides until we die. It's just not worth the risk. I can't stare at my ceiling anymore because of what I've seen in this movie. If you know, you know. But my overarching point here is that this film has some of the best developed jump scares that I've seen in recent memory. The jump scares in this film are so freaking earned and absolutely launched me out of my seat once or twice. And I have to applaud the performances in this film, in particular Austin Abrams, Alden Ehrenreich, and Amy Madigan. Those three were the biggest standouts to me. I mean, Amy Madigan, Jesus Christ, what a comeback. And lastly, for the pros, I got to applaud the very versatile musical score, because I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that I didn't hear the same musical score twice, which helped to keep things fresh despite going through the same events over and over again. In particular, there's a scene involving kids running through the neighborhood. I mean, we've all seen the trailers, that's not a spoiler, but this scene is later in the film and there is a cello. I mean, the deepest, meanest cello I think I've ever heard, and it is phenomenal and totally got under my skin. But with all that down, let's get to some of the issues that I had with the film. The first being the trade-off for using character-based chapters, and that is, with so many character chapters to go through, there's very little time to focus on one thing or one theme in particular. There's at least 6 character chapters in this film, which is a lot of chapters to get through, and as a result of this, it just felt like we were dabbling in some themes rather than actually focusing on them and making them a more fleshed out part of the film. For example, before seeing this film, I had heard that police corruption was a theme of the movie, and after having seen it, I'm like, sure, there's some of that. They touch on that. They dabble in that a little bit, but not much, certainly not enough to call it a material focus of the film, but I think that this is a direct result of having this many character-based chapters throughout this film. And I thought this next con was a little bit of a nitpick at first, but the more I thought about it, the more I think it's more than that. And that is that there's a strategic approach one of our characters ends up taking to try to find these kids. And the first time I saw the film, I was like, good for you, man. That is cunning, clever stuff. But the second time I saw the film, I had the same kind of reaction initially, but the more I thought about it, I was like, wait, is it that clever? Is it that cunning? Isn't it kind of just obvious? And then I realized the film was trying to tell me how clever, how strategic and tactical this approach was, but it just kind of dawned on me the more I thought about it that like, no, this is like maybe the first thing I would do to try to find these kids. And when you put it into those terms, that this case probably should have been solved in the first week, then it kind of makes this film feel less realistic, less important, and less significant altogether. Also, going back to what I alluded to earlier in the review, this film is at its best when it keeps the audience guessing and at the edge of its seat. Like I said, this is certainly the case for the first half of the film, but around the halfway mark, there are some things revealed that it just feels like the mystery is completely gutted from the film. And personally, that's like my favorite part of this film is the mystery. And lastly, for the cons, I'm going to preempt this by saying I think this is more of a subjective criticism. This is more of like my personal issue with the film, but this film is actually very comedic and very lighthearted at times. And that was just really unexpected. I guess I should have expected that considering Cregger's initial work with Barbarian, but I don't know. I saw the Weapons trailer and I was like, there is no comedy, there is no lightheartedness in this whatsoever. So not only was that a very unexpected dynamic to the film, I also just personally wish the film was more serious, more bleak, more tragic, and more horrific. This film definitely has elements of Barbarian, The Black Phone, Prisoners, The People Under the Stairs, Longlegs, and It. And look, I think that this is a great movie. It's very well made, and I think that Cregger made what he sought out to make. So credit where credit is due. Was it a little disappointing to me? Yeah, a little bit. And I gotta give Weapons a 7.3 out of 10. But those are just my thoughts. Take it or leave it. What do you guys think? Are you interested in seeing Weapons? Have you seen it yet? What did you think about it compared to Barbarian? Is it your favorite horror movie of the year? Let me know down in the comment section. Let's talk about it. And if you enjoyed this video, but you want more information about what's on my watch list, what I'm currently watching, the kind of ratings I'm giving these films, as well as upcoming releases I'm looking forward to, don't forget to follow me on track.tv. My username is TIOLI_reviews. The link is in the description box. Go ahead and click it and start following me on Tracked, and I look forward to seeing you over there. And as usual, guys, thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I really appreciate it. Don't be afraid to hit that like and subscribe button. And until next time, I'm Chad from Take It or Leave It, and I'll check you later.
Check you later. Check you later.
Hey, man, get off my case.
Oh, man. Chicks don't want to hear that shit.